Emergency Operations Center and the roles. The Emergency Operations Center, also known as EOC, is the coordination hub for responding to an incident. There are 5 functions that the EOC must carry out: command, operations, planning, logistic, finance, and administration. Pre-designated personnel who understand their roles and responsibilities should staff the EOC. The emergency manager limits their movement and is positioned behind with a clear view of the room to be more strategic. Most of the time, the emergency manager will be towards the end of the table. The scribe in the EOC should also be with the emergency manager. The mission is to remain strategic, manage consequences, and to oversee operations and the recovery efforts while remaining away from the scene resolution. The emergency manager must have excellent leadership and communication skills, along with working with the entire EOC and needing to be able to handle a disruptive incident. The deputy emergency manager moves freely around the center of the area and will listen to the efforts of each table to ensure that no effort is duplicated. The deputy emergency manager will assist the emergency manager and comply with directives. The EOC staff is monitored and mentored by the deputy emergency manager to make sure that the staff of the EOC remains on task and does not overlap. If the emergency manager is unavailable, the deputy manager will assume the emergency manager's position for that time frame. The command staff is also known as the scribe. The scribe is the one whom is seated with the emergency manager, standing by the side to help out. This individual is expected to do the following: chronologically document pertinent information on all significant actions, decisions, directives, and communications. Multitasking is a critical need for this position, and the individual will need to be able to record and listen at the same time. A written log will need to be kept, or an electronic log, of all information taken in, the decisions that were made, and all actions taken. The Public Information Officer, also known as PIO, is the face of the EOC during the crisis times. The PIO will organize information and get signed approval from the emergency manager before presenting information to the media. The PIO will also update the media and set up a designated media staging area. The PIO needs to be a polished speaker and presents a good image to the media and the public. There is a specific training that the PIO will need to go through once selected to ensure that they understand the writing and speaking process and anything else that needs to be dealt with the media. The safety officer ensures an ongoing assessment of hazardous environments. They will also coordinate consequence management, operation safety efforts, and implement measures to safety of responders during EOC operations. They also exercise authority for any unsafe action that could threaten the personnel, along with reviewing plans coordination sections. They are proactive. This individual should have a background in health and safety, along with having an understanding of OSHA, along with other safety standards. They should have a strong personality and be able to put a stop to any action or plan right away. Some other essential skills include observation, listening, assessment, and communication. The liaison officer will identify the necessary support agency personnel, make the personnel available to the EOC, establish support agency areas to work, and monitor the operations of the EOC to identify any current or potential issues within the critical situation. This person needs to have the skills of a professional party planner. The responsibilities of the Operations Coordination Chief is to directly manage operational activities that are consequence related. From the resource coordination section, the individual obtains resources. From the planning coordination and intelligence section, the individual obtains information, intelligence, and action plans. The individual must be able to direct and control other individuals with clarity and decisiveness. Organization of the workflow and coordinating with other individuals in the sections of the EOC is a needed skill. Trust and effective communication is required in order to be effective in communication with the safety officer and trusting the judgment of the plans or actions that could potentially be unsafe. The development of operations and recovery plans are overseen by the planning coordination chief. The emergency manager and/or the operations coordination will direct the planning coordination chief to create action plans. Long-term needs need to be predicted, and the individual needs to be proactive along with asking what-if questions. Monitor conditions and also maintain safety for the non-responders. This individual will think strategically about the long-term needs and direct others. They do not focus on the scene at hand, more of long-term. Tasks need to be delegated and subdivided within the team. Requesting assistance on report writing and review skills are critical. The Investigation and Intelligence Coordination Chief will function on an ongoing assessment to a critical incident that needs to be performed. In order to guide the development of action plans, operational and strategic information needs to be provided to the emergency manager and the planning coordination section. Strong investigative and management skills are needed within this section, along with strong ties within the community, agencies, and contacts within the organization. Report writing and review skills are required along with paying close attention to detail, otherwise known as being very detail-oriented. Knowing what is real from what is not is a skill that needs to be used. Having technical knowledge to effectively research information along with communicating and only sharing need-to-know based information is crucial. The Resource Coordination Chief orders, documents, and stages the resources that were needed for the critical incident. Provide alternative facilities, supplies, communications, food services, and information technology support. If not currently active within a critical incident, the individual of the resource coordination can plan ahead by anticipating and researching other possible resources that could be needed at some other point for another critical incident later on. Management skills are crucial with detailed documentation. Tasks will need to be subdivided within the team and be able to manage the workflow of requests coming from the other sections of the EOC. It is essential to avoid any duplication or dropping important requests. The Finance and Administration Control Chief is responsible for all incident costs and financial considerations, including a time unit, placement unit, compensation claims unit, and cost unit. Approving emergency vendors and other supply resources is another task that the Finance and Administration Control Chief will utilize. The biggest skill required is a background in finance, purchasing, and payroll. They will need to have access to electronic data from files within the Finance and Human Resources, and also be familiar with the requirements and documentation of the insurance for the organization for reimbursement purposes and be able to understand claims during a declared emergency.